coach George Welch said this week that he's given up trying to rate his Virginia team. Really, how could anyone rate the Pigskin Classic game? Sure to be a success in the stands now that it's been moved out of Anaheim and on campus. But Michigan was breaking in a new head coach and a freshman quarterback who would not have Tyrone Wheatley around to hand off to Ann Arbor for a wild start to the college football season. There's Lloyd Carr, first game as Michigan head coach. Third quarter, 7-0 Virginia. Tiki Barber takes the handoff on a 3rd and 11, breaks left, see you later. All the way, 81-yard touchdown run. Barber, 12 carries, 113 yards. The Cavs were up 17-0. Barber would have had to leave with a bruised shoulder. Carr's team trailed 17-12. Got the ball back, just under 3 minutes left. 3rd and 1 from their 39. Scott Dreisbach, what a day. Deep down the left side from Mercury Hayes into Virginia territory. 2nd and 10 from the Virginia 37. Dreisbach over the middle. Jay Remersma for the first down. That would stop the clock, 50 seconds to go. 1st and 10 from the 15. Dreisbach incomplete to Toomer. 2nd down, Dreisbach incomplete for Hayes. Wolverines have driven 65 yards, 14 plays. 8 seconds to go, no timeouts. This is 3rd down. Dreisbach off the hands of Tyrone Butterfield. Good thing, because if he caught it, they wouldn't be able to stop the clock. 4 seconds to go. 4th down coming. Dreisbach drops the floater, corner of the end zone from Mercury Hayes. 1 foot in, that's all you need in college. And Michigan caps its greatest ever comeback. Down 17-0, they win 18-17. George Welch could have made Michigan try an extra point, which could have been botched in return for a score. But when he walked off the field, the game was officially over. It's amazing that in the 95 years they've been keeping records at Michigan, the biggest deficit they ever overcame, 14 points. You might remember a year ago, down at the opposite end of that stadium, Michigan was devastated by a Colorado last-second touchdown. But this time, the home team and a freshman quarterback got it done.
It was incredible. I mean, I have so much confidence in my 2 receivers, Amani and Merck. And at first I was going to Amani because he had the better look. And then they rotated cover at the snap, and then I went to Mercury Hayes, looked wide open, and then I just was hoping that it was in bounds, and he kept his feet in bounds so we could, I knew that was it.
Like Coach said, if we have lost this game 3-0 or 56-51, regardless, if we lose in the defense, I feel we didn't do our job.
And what was going on in the huddle was saying, like, hey, we're not going to give up. We looking in each other's eyes and say, hey, it's time to make a play, gentlemen. And that's what we was doing, telling each other, hey, we got to make a play. We're Michigan. We don't lose in the big house.
Scott Dreisbach, cool as a cucumber, and when it counted the most, leading the Wolverines to scores on their final 3 possessions, including the game-winning 16-play, 80-yard drive. The attempts and yardage, new single-game Michigan records. Not bad for the first freshman to start a quarterback for the Wolverines since Rick Leach in 1976. Susie?
Well, nobody's perfect, but until last night, Cleveland stopper Jose Mesa was trying to prove that theory.
In fact, the last 2 kickoff classics have been routs, but they've also featured the eventual national champs. Florida State beat Kansas 42-0 in '93, and last August, Nebraska trounced West Virginia 31-0. Sunday, tailback Eddie George leads Ohio State against Boston College to the Meadowlands. First quarter, offensive lineman Orlando Pace, dominating defenders all day, clears a path for Matt Calhoun. That set up Eddie George, 12-yard scamper, in for the score, 7-0 your Buckeyes. Second quarter, 7-3 after a BC field goal. Sean Springs takes the kickoff.
Got a hole.
And yes, he's got a hole, breaks loose down the right sideline, 97 yards. He's the son of former Ohio State great Ron Springs. 14-3 Buckeyes. He got some help. Top of your screen, great block by Matt Jacobs right there. Still second quarter, it's the making of a drive by the Buckeyes. Starts on the Buckeyes' own 1-inch line, whistle for an illegal motion penalty. Doesn't really matter. First down, QB sneak, buys some time. 2nd and 10, incomplete pass, nearly a safety. 3rd and 10, don't panic, you're the Buckeyes. Bobby Hoying swings it to George out of his own end zone. First down, and they are driving. On first down, George runs through the middle for another first down. Then Hoying back to pass. That's Terry Glenn on the fly pattern, 46 yards, another first down. George up the middle for 4. You're watching an Ohio State Buckeye drive. 2nd down, swing pass. Pepe Pierce, juke me, breaks the tackle. Pepe sets up 3rd and 1. Buckeyes gamble on 3rd and 1. Hoying, Ricky Dudley, 11 yards, 8 plays, 99 yards for John Cooper. 1 BC highlight, watch the hit. Terrence Wiggins puts on Jermon Jackson. 4th quarter, a little comedy. OSU attempting a field goal. Eric Golston comes into the screen, accidentally takes the snap from center. Okay. Then gets drilled. Doesn't matter. Ohio State wins. Buckeye coach John Cooper described it as a very solid victory. We won the game easily, but made enough mistakes where I can go back home and do some coaching. The Big Ten is now 2-0 this young football season. Linda.
To many pro.
But as the old adage goes, it is tougher to stay on top than it is to get to the top. And as they begin their quest to repeat, the Huskers started with a team at the bottom, opening against heavy underdog Oklahoma State. Nebraska favored by 4 touchdowns going in. Bob Simmons, first game on the sidelines as head man of the Cowboys, second quarter, 9-0 Nebraska. Tony Jones, oops, threw it to the wrong guy. Terrell Farley, interception, 33 yards for the score. Huskers up 16-zip. Second quarter, 16-7 now. Lawrence Phillips dancing in the backfield, finds a hole, accelerates, and he is gone. Nice low-angle shot here. They won't catch him no matter what the angle. 80 yards, one of 3 TDs for Phillips. Nebraska up 22-7. Tommy Frazier running a little option, no problem for the touchdown. 36-7 in the second quarter. Ahead to the third. Tommy, he can run, he can throw. Wide open is Reggie Ball. Down the strip he goes, 76 yards. It was all Huskers. This game a blowout, 64-21. Phillips, 153 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, kicking off his Heisman campaign rather nicely. Tommy Frazier, good numbers as well. Threw for 2, ran for 1. The Huskers just ran the Cowboys into the ground. 513 yards rushing. Bill Pito could have run for 100 in this game. We'll have more on the Huskers, a closer look at their offensive line later in the show.
Open up against Division I AA Marshall. And Marshall is not just another Division I AA team. The Thundering Herd have won a national championship, been the national runner-up, and made the national semifinals in the last 3 years. We pick things up in the first quarter. Marshall catches the Wolfpack off guard. Running back Chris Parker hands the ball to split end Tim Martin, who takes it for a big gain. Low angle there, TV term. Same drive, Marshall on the Wolfpack 3. Chris Parker sweeps right. Touchdown. Marshall's up 7-zip. NC State, though, responds. Tailback Tremaine Stevens takes the pitch 6 yards into the end zone. Wolfpack tie the game at 7. Second quarter now. Wolfpack down 10-7. Quarterback Terry Harvey finds Mike Guffey. Touchdown, Guffey. 6 catches, 107 yards. That made it 14-10. And the Wolfpack go on to win 33-16. NC State has now won 8 straight openers. Harvey goes 15 for 24 for 181 yards. He's now in 4th place all-time on NC State's passing yardage list. North Carolina State with 12 points in the pivotal third quarter. Coming up on Sports.
4th time in recent memory that Florida State starts the year as the #1 team in the country, taking on the Duke Blue Devils. And last year, Duke was 7-0 coming into their Florida State game, got blown out by 39. This year, Florida State scored on its first drive of the extra point block, and that's Pooh Bear Williams, the 266-pound fullback, running in from 3 yards out. Florida State leads Duke by the score of 13-0. Let's update some other games. LSU and A&M are underway in College Station and scoreless. That is correct. Northwestern, which scored after a Notre Dame fumble on the second drive for the Wildcats, since traded field goals. Northwestern 10, Notre Dame 3. Michigan has just scored a touchdown against Illinois in Champaign. The Wolverines looking to go 2-0, lead 7-0. They're just underway in Seattle. Washington off probation, taking on Jake Plummer and Arizona State. Purdue beat West Virginia 26-24. The Mountaineers had an opportunity to win this game, but missed a field goal as time ran down, plus a 2-point win for the Big Ten over the Big East. It's a final now between the Hedges and Athens. Ray Goff gets off to a good start as Georgia beats South Carolina. The story here is Robert Edwards, a school record 5 touchdowns, all in the second half, 4 rushing, 1 receiving. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Notre Dame trailing by a point against Northwestern. That score 10-9. Robert Farmer with a 5-yard touchdown for the Irish. Elsewhere in college football, upset-minded Purdue opening up on the road at West Virginia, and with a huge lead at the half against Don Nalen's Mountaineers. This is Rick Tretzker of Purdue under pressure, but he finds Brian Alford on an 18-yard scoring pass. The Boilermakers had a 19-0 halftime lead, but West Virginia came back behind running back Robert Walker, who seemed determined to win this game all by himself. That's his 3rd touchdown of the half. Pulls his team within 2. 26 seconds left. Mountaineer kicker Brian Bauman with a 25-yard field goal to win it. No, it's wide right. And the final, Purdue does get the upset, 26-24. does not speak well for Notre Dame as they visit Purdue next week. Could be a tough opponent. Elsewhere, for the third straight year, South Carolina and Georgia, an SEC battle to open the season. It's been tight the last 2 years. Same story again today. Steve Tannehill finding Zola Davis for a 23-yard touchdown as time ran out in the first half. South Carolina up 14-7. Big day for Georgia running back Robert Edwards scoring from a yard out. That is touchdown number 3 for Edwards on the game. Bulldogs quarterback Mike Bobo, with time, finds Edwards over the middle, and Edwards is on his way to a 47-yard touchdown. Touchdown number 4 for Robert Edwards, and he wasn't through. Here he is late in the game as he caps an outstanding afternoon, breaking through the middle, going 58 yards, his 5th touchdown of the day. 30 carries, 169 yards rushing, and a new school record with 5 touchdowns. Big win for the Bulldogs. They host Tennessee next week, a final 42-23. Georgia Tech easing into the season, hosting Division I AA Furman, a team they've had trouble with at home in the past. George O'Leary, first full season at the helm for Tech, got off to an impressive start. Redshirt freshman Charles Wiley taking it in from 8 yards out. Jackets up 14-0. Furman starting quarterback Braniff Bonaventure knocked out with a partially separated shoulder, so Tech just kept on rolling. C.J. Williams, 37 yards, 3rd touchdown of the game. This was a blowout for Georgia Tech, the final 51-7. And in the WAC this afternoon, BYU was at Air Force. It was a hot one in Colorado Springs, over 100 degrees, and the BYU defense just melted. The wishbone working to perfection for Air Force. That's Bo Morgan, their quarterback, on the keeper. He had a bad reaction to medication, had to leave the game, but came back in the second half, and he finds a wide open Mark Ranger for a 37-yard scoring strike. The final, Air Force over BYU 38-12. So BYU's 12-game winning streak in this series comes to an inauspicious end. The Clemson Tigers, they needed a tune-up. They host Florida State next week, and they, in a blowout win, beat West Carolina 55-9. Their quarterback, Nealon Green, 4 touchdowns. Cincinnati is at Kansas, opening up the season. They lead 13-9. Eric Vibberts, their quarterback, with a touchdown pass. Montana State proving to be an easy opponent for the defending WAC champs of Colorado State. The Rams lead 21-0 in that one, and they're in Boulder next week to meet Colorado. Michigan and Illinois looking to get an early jump on the Big Ten race. Well, the Michigans get the first jump on the board. Scott Dreisbach with a touchdown pass for the Wolverines. Duke and Florida State. It's 27-7 now. Duke has gotten on the board against Florida State. Pooh Bear Williams has a touchdown run for the Seminoles, and so does Warwick Dunn. Danny Cannell, a touchdown pass. Duke's never beaten a #1 team. Jerry DiNardo begins his tenure at LSU in a tough way. He's on the road against Texas A&M. The Aggies off probation, looking towards a possible national championship. And Arizona State and Purdue, an early Pac-10 matchup. Arizona State with a 14-3 lead over Washington. Jake the Snake Plummer with a touchdown pass. Ahmad, did you have a similar nickname when you were burning it up in the Pac-10?
I did have a nickname. That's the context as they meet in Notre Dame Stadium, and you know about what Lou Holtz has done preseason to get his team ready for the year.
I knew parity was here in college football, but we can all talk about it today. This signified and was there. It is real. It happened on the field. You know, a lot of people want to put Notre Dame in that top 5, top 10 category. It just isn't so. They don't have the same kind of talent they used to. They cannot dominate the second-level schools in America. For 2 years now, we have said that, Coach, that they're not the same team. People kept asking us, what do you think about Notre Dame? I wanted to see that defense. Will they be nasty? And they're just not there.
Well, with their schedule, they're not out of it yet. I mean, they got a chance to win something. But the good news for Northwestern, they beat a good Irish team at South Bend. The bad news, they're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore. And from what I saw in the Air Force Academy, I tell you what, you mark down September 23rd, Air Force Northwestern. That's going to be a good ball game now. I tell you what.
Who would have thought that? Let's go back and show you how the Wildcats pulled off this monster upset today in South Bend. Lou Holtz, it was a frustrating day for him. First quarter in a scoreless game, Steve Schnurr to Dave Beasley in the end zone. Cats go up 7-zip as he gets acquainted with the band. Then in the second quarter, Notre Dame, 3rd and 5 on the 13. Paulus to Kinder. He is stuffed. Still in the second quarter, it's 10-3 Wildcats. Paulus to Derek Mays, the brilliant wide receiver. He gets down inside the 10-yard line. Same series, 2nd and goal on the 5. Robert Farmer busts in, but Kevin Kopka misses the PAT. Notre Dame still down 10-9. Third quarter, a 2nd and 10 on the 45, and Darnell Autry for 25 yards. The next play, Schnurr as Northwestern shows good balance. Over the middle, 25-yard strike to Dwayne Bates for the touchdown. It's 17-9. Same score now in the fourth quarter. Paulus looking for Mark Edwards, Notre Dame, trying for a potential game-tying drive later in the series. Kinder from 3 yards. Notre Dame down by 2. Naturally, they go for 2 and the tie, but Paulus tripped by the center, pulling out. The play's dead right there. Then, later on, last chance, trailing by 2 points, the Irish trying to put together a drive were stuffed on 4th and 2. They ran up the middle, and Randy Kinder got stuffed. Northwestern ran out the clock. They snapped the 14-game, 30-year losing streak against Notre Dame. Truly one of the biggest upsets in recent college football history. 62 the last win against the Irish. The last time the Wildcats even won an opener was 75 against Purdue. The last time they beat a ranked team was a couple of years ago against Boston College, but Northwestern, maybe the biggest win in their history since the 49 Rose Bowl. Meanwhile, one of the most significant Big Ten conference games in September ever. Simeon Rice, you got to contain it if you're going to beat the Illini. Early on, getting acquainted with Dreisbach. Then on the punt, it's Muck. Martin Jones fumbles. Sanders recovers for Michigan. They cash in. Dreisbach, play action. Chris Howard is wide open. 7-zip Wolverines. It's 17-0 in the second half. Robert Holcomb coughs it up. Charles Woodson recovers. Sets up Tim Biakabatuka. His second touchdown within 50 seconds, and the Wolverines very quickly are up 24-0 for good measure. Timmy B, one of the prettiest runs you'll see, 35-yard touchdown. This has been a close ball game the last couple of years, but Michigan on a roll after the comeback win over Virginia just pounds a very good and highly touted Illinois defense. 38-14, Biakabatuka scoring 3 touchdowns. Another highly touted defense is Texas A&M, and they open against the LSU Tigers at Aggieland. A&M now out of jail, eligible for the bowl, and they always have had good special teams. Andre LaFleur's field goal attempt blocked by Brandon Mitchell. Casey Tabor, the holder, tries to fall on it, but A&M takes over. A loss of 35 yards on the play there. A&M converts off the blocked field goal. Corey Pulling. Albert Connell. It's 12-zip A&M. Earlier, the defense had a sack for a safety. Third quarter, Aggies' opening drive of the second half. Leland McElroy, the Heisman contender, gets a good block from James Brooks, an 18-yard touchdown run, a 75-yard drive. More McElroy, this time on the sweep, waltzing in from 3 yards out. Leland's Heisman campaign is off to a good start. Texas A&M over LSU, I should say, 33-17 in the fourth quarter. 3.5 minutes to play. We'll keep you posted when that game goes final. Duke and Florida State, the gap bigger than ever between the Seminoles and the rest of the conference. FSU and the Duke 33, and Warwick Dunn breaks a tackle on the left side, a 33-yard run, 20-7.
Really impressed me with his leg strength. He uses his head and shoulder pads to keep people off his legs.
And here's the other tailback, Rock Preston. This guy's a backup. Look at the moves here.
This is the kind of offense that they'll kill you. They wear you down with your running backs, and then they throw it deep to the wide receivers. First
20 minutes of this ball game, Florida State had more than 400 yards offense. This is still in the second quarter. It's 34-10 at the Duke 11. Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Andre Cooper faking out the DBs. 41-10 FSU. Right now it is 70-26. 4:06 to play. The Seminoles, a devastating offensive unit. Danny Cannell, he's a Heisman candidate. 4 touchdowns, 275 yards, and he's going to get a rest. Meanwhile, up the road in Gainesville, Steve Spurrier's team opening up against a former Gator, Kim Helton, and his Houston team. And Houston not intimidated in the early going. Chuck Clements rolls out, finds Larkay James down the sideline. And this is a cause for concern. The Gator defense, not a strength last year, and giving up points to Houston. 21-14. That's the first time the Gators have been ahead in this ball game as they're early in the second quarter. Washington and Arizona State. Damon Heward, as the Huskies have the new purple helmets. Throws it up in the air. Arizona State's pass defense. That one receiver fumbles it right into the hands. And Washington, despite outgaining Arizona State, trailing in this ballgame, that flukish touchdown was their only touchdown in the first half. Heward going up top. The catch made. Arizona State, remember, a very young team. In Washington, picked by Mr. Corso to go to the Rose Bowl. They trailed. Late going. The option pass fools the Arizona State secondary into the end zone, and the Huskies survive a scare. This would have been a very, very damaging loss to the Rose Bowl hopes. 23-20. They survive. Damon Heward, 239 yards and a touchdown. Keith Poole, 162 yards and a couple of touchdowns in that ball game. Purdue and West Virginia. Jim Coletto knows that the Boilermakers haven't had a winning season since '84. Strong first half. Corey Rogers following the blockers. 17-yard touch, 19 zip. The Mountaineers being blown out at halftime. But they get momentum in the second half, and Robert Walker gets the ground game going. Huge hole for an 8-yard touchdown. Boilermakers up by 2, closing seconds. Brian Bowman, a 25-yard chippy from the center of the field. Slides wide to the right. A heartbreaking loss for West Virginia after coming nearly all the way back. And Purdue knocking the Mountaineers out of the top 25. Great win for Purdue. We've seen the strength of the Big Ten already, and that's a big win for the Big Ten out of conference. The BYU Cougars, 16 out of 17 in the series, a wide scoring margin. The last victory over BYU in '82, but the wings were flapping today in Colorado Springs. Scoreless game in the first quarter, and Bo Morgan, the maestro of the option, just takes it in effortlessly. 7-0 Falcons. Morgan had to leave the game, an allergic reaction to medication he took this morning. BYU struggled all day. Steve Sarkisian, the transfer out of JC, misfiring there. Then the field goal is blocked by Kelvin King. 21 zip Air Force. Second half, Bo Morgan returns and finds Mark Ranger wide open. This alarming because BYU's defense thought to be much improved. Instead, Air Force wallops him, breaks the long losing streak against the Cougars, who came in as the preseason favorite in the WAC conference. Now maybe Colorado State deserves that title. 31-10. They clobber Montana State in Fort Collins as DJ Watson rushes for 130 yards. Stanford is getting a battle from San Jose State. The Cardinal have just scored a touchdown to go up by 11 early in the fourth quarter. Oregon State, I should say, and the Idaho Vandals, it's a close one. The Beavers survive in Corvallis by a final of 14-7. In Reno, the Ragin' Cajuns of southwestern Louisiana getting blown out now. It's 38-14, 35 seconds to play in this one as Nevada is on the way to rolling. Cincinnati giving Kansas a battle. The Jayhawks prevail only by 5 points as Ashadi Smith makes 7 receptions for 91 yards. Kent over Youngstown State 17-14 for the Schwabel Trophy in Kent. Youngstown State used to dominating that series. Georgia Tech and Furman, 7-zip in the first quarter. Donnie Davis hands off to Charles Wiley. He busts up the middle 8 yards. Tech up 14-zip on the Paladins. Same score in the second quarter. C.J. Williams over the pile, loses the ball. Is it a touchdown? Officials said he broke the plane before the fumble. Tech didn't need any help from the Zebras, however, as they win once again over a 1AA opponent. The most points since 1987 when they beat the Citadel, another 1AA team, 51-12. Clemson, another ACC team, opening up with a cupcake, pounding Western Carolina 55-9. Their 31st straight win over a Southern Conference foe. Whoop-de-doo.
Game 1 against Vanderbilt. 7 seconds, second quarter. Ronnie Gordon, the Vandy QB, picked off by Archie Short, who takes it all the way to the Vandy 11. Bama in business, you would think. But it's 4th and inches. Brian Bergdorf, the keeper, and the black shirt Commodore defense stops them. Vanderbilt playing a very strong game thus far. The Crimson Tide has won the last 10 in this meeting, and Rod Dowhauer's debut. Dowhauer, the former NFL assistant and head coach, very concerned that he didn't have a preseason game. His Commodores are playing well. Auburn also opening up its season against Ole Miss, a conference game there. Right now, Terry's Tigers lead by 10. Patrick Nix, youngest Division I coach by 4 days. He debuts in the rivalry against Kentucky. Marty Lowe handing off to Calvin Arrington, 18 yards. Led to a 25-yard field goal. It was 3-3 at the half between Louisville and Kentucky, and that's the way it stands now. Those teams are in the third quarter. We can update that. Derek Tate has thrown 4 touchdowns. Mississippi State comfortably over Memphis by 21. Missouri welcoming North Texas to Division 1A, right now leading by 7. Look at Baylor. SMU, also out of the SWC, leading Arkansas. This game in the Cotton Bowl. That's where SMU is playing its home games. Kansas State leading Temple. Temple scored in the first minute. KSU has scored 27 since. New Mexico State leading UTEP. We can update that now. It's 9-0. A safety added to a Cody Ledbetter touchdown. And Georgia, maybe the star of the day, Robert Edwards. Gianni's pass to Josh Wilcox has tied the game at 17. By 3.
Vanderbilt, the doormat of the SEC, much like Northwestern, has been the doormat of the Big Ten. Alabama, talk had been this is one of the great defenses that Gene Stallings or anybody else in Alabama had ever seen. But the first possession for the Commodores, their coach Jermaine Johnson right up the gut, 75 yards for a touchdown. The Commodores break out on top in Music City. It was 13-10 in the third. Bama punter Hayden Stockton doesn't punt the ball, swarmed under. Vanderbilt tries to cash in. Damian Allen, the fade. Brett Baker, it's 19-10 Vandy at that point. Then, after a Dennis Riddle run and a quick Vandy fumble, Michael Proctor booting the go-ahead field goal. Vanderbilt has just come back. 25-20, they lead by 5 early in the fourth quarter. The Tide in their first game on probation pending the appeal, really struggling, and we'll keep you posted on this game and show you that punt return that put Vanderbilt up. Miami getting all they can handle from Terry Donahue's team in the Rose Bowl this evening. Third quarter, already 3-0 Bruins. Chris Saylor punts. Earl Little, what is he doing? He breaks every rule in the textbook for fielding punts. UCLA pounces on it, 10-zip. In the third quarter, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 8-yard touchdown run. The Bruins are up 17-0 at that point. Then gets in the end zone again. Miami really struggling on offense. Ryan Collins, the deep balls not connecting. The much talked about Miami running game not generating much, and it's a little too late to run the ball at this point anyway. 11:15 to play. Miami trying to avoid the first back-to-back losses since 1985. Arizona is at home. They've just scored a touchdown to take the lead over Pacific as the first quarter winds down. Colorado pacing Wisconsin last year. A vendetta game, perhaps, but Coy Detmer had other ideas. Ray Caruth, one of the receivers, picking up where Michael Westbrook left off. Jukes Leonard Taylor takes it down to the Badger 8. It set up a Marlon Barnes touchdown run to make it 17-7. Later in the second quarter, Detmer to Caruth. What a beautiful throw. Great touch for Ty's little brother. 26-7 at that point. Colorado still scoring in the third quarter. It's 36-7 as they start the fourth. Detmer has been impressive. This will be his first win as a starter. He was 0-1-1 coming in. Tennessee hosting East Carolina. ECU tries the halfback option. Marcus Crandall to Darrell Jones. The pass picked off by Deron Jenkins. He'll take it back to the ECU 31-yard line. Tennessee, 2 plays later, looks to Peyton Manning. Nilo Sylvan gets open in the end zone, wide open, 31-yard strike. It's 17-0 Tennessee. It was 17-7 at the half, and the Volunteers add 10 more points in the second half. Manning, 178 yards on 17 for 29. Patrick Nix, a school record 382 yards. He also ran for a couple of touchdowns as Auburn, showing new offensive firepower, clobbers Ole Miss at Jordan-Hare. Virginia gets 99 yards from Tiki Barber, 110 from Kevin Brooks, and picks up a pass for the 18th consecutive game as they pound William and Mary. Guys, I told you how it happened. Bama had the ball and the lead, but Dennis Riddle, who scored a touchdown a few minutes ago, coughs up the ball. Eric Vance takes it the other way, 37 yards on the fumble return, and Vanderbilt took the lead. But a celebration penalty put Alabama in good field position, and the Tide are now driving inside of 6 minutes to play, and they have the ball in close, so we'll keep you posted. Michigan and Illinois back in the first quarter. Eric Kresser took over in the second quarter. Kresser, Chris Doring, 40-yard touchdown, 28-14 Florida. For a while, Houston was hanging with them. They flag him for celebration. Why? Houston playing tough. Second half, Jay McGuire spinning, twisting, breaking tackles, a 12-yard touchdown run. The Gators win it comfortably, but perhaps have to be concerned about the 21 points that they gave up. Williams rushes for 3 touchdowns and 93 yards. Arizona State and Washington. A thriller in Seattle this afternoon. Damon Ewart with ASU thought this would be one of the thrillers of the day. Remember, Vanderbilt had a 5-point lead, but the excessive celebration set the Tide up in good field position, and they drove down, and Brian Bergdorf, who has really struggled tonight, sacks and interceptions on 4th and 4, finds Todrick Malone in the end zone for the touchdown. That puts Alabama up by a point. 20.
Is Jose Offerman.
Long way from their campus in Coral Gables, opening the season at UCLA. The Hurricanes also want to distance themselves from their past bad boy image. To help, they have a new no-nonsense head coach, Butch Davis, a former assistant under Jimmy Johnson at Miami back in the 80s. Second quarter, 3-0 Bruins. Ryan Fiend drops back to pass. He gets knocked by Kennard Lang. He'd have to leave with a lacerated chin, but he would come back. Third quarter, still 3-0. Bad luck for the Canes. Earl Little tries to field the ball. He can't handle it. Abdul McCullough recovers it. It's 10-0 Bruins. They had more scoring in the third. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I kid you not, 17-0 Bruins. They roll by a final of 31-8. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rushed for 188 yards and scored twice in the second half. Gave a lot of credit to the 5 guys in front of him. The Bruins' offensive line returned intact from last season. The loss was only the 4th in 50 regular season games for the Canes. Do you believe Gene Stallings and Bama haven't lost at Vandy since '69? 2019, Bama in the 4th. A fumble on the handoff. Eric Vance picks it up, scampers 32 yards for the touchdown. Vandy is up 25-20. Bama comes right back. 4th and goal on the 4. Brian Bergdorf to a wide open Todrick Malone. Bama takes a 26-25 lead. Vandy tries to rally. Damian Allen is picked off by Brad Ford. He takes it back 36 yards for the score. Bama holds on in a tight one, 33-25. So Alabama comes roaring back with a 23-point fourth quarter after only gaining 18 yards in the third. Alabama's offense turned the ball over 5 times, but the D went one better, forcing 6 Commodore turnovers. James Brown, the 16-yard touchdown pass to Mike Adams. Texas led 31-3 at halftime in the third. Brown scrambles, finds freshman Ricky Williams for a 48-yard gain. Williams also had 95 yards rushing. Longhorns roll 38-17. Number 19 Arizona against Pacific. Dick Tomey's team would not become an upset victim. First quarter, Dan White hits Richard Dice on the fly. He breaks away from the defense, goes 89 yards. Cats cruise 41-9. Number 20 North Carolina hosting Syracuse, the Orange in the 4th. Orangeman Malcolm Thomas. Super effort here. The cutback for the 9-yard score. Syracuse up 17-9. Rough beginning for the Tar Heels. Syracuse wins 20-9. Would you believe?
To a 19-14 lead, 4 minutes left. Their punter, Keith Weaver, gets his punt blocked by Armin Williams. Wildcats recover on the 4-yard line. Tech coach George O'Leary seeing his team's lead evaporate. With the ball on the 1-foot line, quarterback Dan White says, "I got it." Arizona goes up 20-19. Tech with the ball, 2 minutes left. Donnie Davis gets the ball to Cedric Zachary, but Rasheed Johnson strips the ball. They call it raking. Arizona seals the victory. Tech loses a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter. Arizona improves to 2-0. They take it 20-19. Georgia Tech had a 19-7 lead with 8 minutes left. Tech, C.J. Williams, first person to rush for 100 yards against this Arizona Desert Swarm defense in the last 35 games. Still ahead on the hour-long Sports Center, a wild college football.
Lost a home opener. It was about 5 years ago against Texas, another Southwest Conference team opening the schedule for the Nittany Lions. Texas Tech today in State College. Scoreless in the first and trouble. Trickery inside their own 10. Archie tries to get it to Freddie Scott. He can't do it. Sean Banks recovers. Red Raider touchdown. They lead 7-0. Second quarter. Brad Kane punting. Bobby Ingram catches it and fumbles at the 37. Jay Brown almost had it. Finally, Texas Tech recovers. Ingram would do the same thing again later on in the game, and Paterno had to talk to his star. In the third, Texas Tech leading 20-17. Back comes Penn State. John Whitman, a 4-yard touchdown run, his second of the day. It was 2014, rather, at that point. Now, Penn State, fourth down, they go for it. Kent Olsmer, the tight end. It's 21-20. Red Raiders, Tony Rogers, 47-yard field goal, 23-21. Keep in mind, Tech had earlier missed an extra point. A 15-play drive, 50-plus yards down the field. Brett Conway, who missed 2 field goals earlier, connects on a 39-yarder as time expired. There was 4 seconds left. Texas Tech couldn't do anything with their last snap from scrimmage. A scare for Penn State. They turned it over, and Texas Tech made them pay for the turnovers. But they rally at the end. The Nittany Lions beat the Red Raiders by 1. Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, for Nick Saban's debut at Michigan State against the #2 team. Herbie Husker is back. They filled out petitions. They sent them to Chris Fowler. They got results. Herbie Husker is back. So is Tommy Frazier. But he takes this knee from Jabbar Threet, a deep thigh bruise. He had to leave the game. Rick Barringer came in, but was just handed off, folks. Lawrence Phillips exploded today. This 51-yard touchdown. Phillips, 209 yards on the day. He has 7 touchdowns in 2 games. Nebraska over 500 yards rushing again today. They bombed Michigan State by 40. And keep in mind now, Nebraska's next road game, the last Saturday in October at Colorado. A long stretch in Lincoln coming up. #1, Florida State in Death Valley against Clemson. Clemson did something they haven't done in 2 years against the Seminoles. Score. Only problem, Florida State and Warwick Dunn did more. 41-yard run that would set up a Denny Cannell second-half touchdown pass. Elon Green, the quarterback for Clemson, came in with the highest QB rating in college football. On the play fake, Tony Horn wide open. The Florida State defense did give up over 400 yards to Duke, has given up a lot of points today, but not nearly enough to be a factor because of Dunn in the set. Look at him, go through tacklers to the end zone. Warwick Dunn pushing 200 yards. He's at 180 in a couple of scores. Pooh Bear Williams had 2 early scores. That's now a final. Florida State has beaten Clemson by the score of 45-26. At the Big House, for the first time in 9 years, Michigan is opened 3-0. Lloyd Carr's team beat Memphis 24-7. The Acapulco big day. Michigan at Boston College, CFA primetime next Saturday night. Make a note of that. Howard Schnellenberger in an Oklahoma red jacket as we look at him. He's opening up his Oklahoma era against San Diego State. And his quarterback, Gerald Moore, 19-yard run for the youngster in his first game. And in Norman, Oklahoma leads San Diego State by the score of 7-0. The last 6 Oklahoma head coaches have won their debut. Syracuse, huge win at North Carolina. Now they go home to take on East Carolina. Fourth quarter, Marcus Crandall to Garris McPhail. McPhail the touchdown. East Carolina leads. Syracuse fights back. 4th and 4 on the Pirates' 12. Instead of going for the field goal to tie, they tried to get the first down. And East Carolina recovers the fumble. Last chance, the Orange got it back. 4th and 14, down 3. McNabb sees Marvin Harrison open, but the defensive lineman hit his arm. Incomplete. Syracuse led 21-0. East Carolina rallies, and like they did 4 years ago up in the Dome, they walk in and beat Syracuse. Second time they've beaten them in this 7-game series. Busy early day. Let's get some reaction on what's happened thus far today in college football to Knoxville, Tennessee, and Chris Fowler. Chris.
Mike, thank you very much, and welcome to Knoxville, Tennessee, where the Vols will play the Dogs later on. Guys, first of all, Penn State, we're glued to the TV watching this game, as many of those fans were. Really a story of redemption for Penn State. Wally Richardson looked like a seasoned quarterback in that final drive after a rough afternoon. Bobby Ingram, who almost gave the game away with fumbles, was very sharp in the second half. And Brett Conway, after 2 misses, didn't somebody on game day say Penn State would need a field goal from Conway to win a game this year?
No, it wasn't you, it was me. All right, now let me tell you this situation. I'll bet you $1,000 that Joe Paterno...
You see, Maryland getting off to a good start, and Chris mentioned North Carolina, a disappointment after their loss last Saturday night to Syracuse. North Carolina beat Maryland 41-17, and the Terps had Scott Milanovic last year. They don't have him because of the 4-game gambling suspension. His replacement, Brian Cummings, making the most of NC turnovers. Mansell Johnson, a 50-yard score, breaks a 10-all tie early 3rd quarter. And in the 4th, it's a 7-point Maryland lead. Halfback option, Buddy Rogers to Johnson, and Mansell is in the end zone again. We've refurbished Byrd Stadium, and they're celebrating in Byrd right now. A final, Maryland to 2-0. North Carolina 0-2. Turtles win by 14 in College Park. It's a final in Starkville, the first LSU win for Jerry DiNardo. His team pounds Mississippi State. Great game for Kevin Falk on the ground. First game on grass at Razorback Stadium since 1960.
From LSU, Eddie Kennison, the wide receiver, hauled down a big touchdown pass. I'll tell you what, this is a ball that Jamie Howard threw on a rope. This is a beautiful pass play.
Beautiful pass. Kennison, of course, with all the speed in the world. Jamie Howard, little play action fake, rolls to the left hash mark and fires the pill. I mean, right on the money. And Kennison just outruns the defense. I mean, just sheer speed right there. Nothing fancy about the pattern. Good catch, too. Full extension into the end zone for 6 with the conversion, which gave them a nice momentum at the half.
And but numero uno today was this man. 58-yard touchdown run after he fumbled, as Dave mentioned. He breaks a tackle and scampers down the left sideline. That helped LSU to that 34-16 victory over Mississippi State.
Frosh Eric Moore got the nod against a San Diego State team which already had a game under its belt, having rocked Cal a week ago. In Norman, second quarter, it's the freshman Eric Moore moving the Sooners. Gerald Moore takes the pitch. Nice block on the contained man. Steps around a tackler, gets the pylon, 7-0 Sooners. All right, so you did a good job at quarterback. We're going to try somebody else there. Garrick McGee goes now for the Sooners, looking. Michael McDaniel behind the secondary. He gets into the corner. 14-0 Oklahoma. Less than a ball this game, and Oklahoma leads it 38-22. Gerald Moore, 3 touchdowns, 159 yards rushing. If Schnellenberger's boys hang on, he would be the 7th consecutive Sooners coach to open his Oklahoma coaching career with a win. East Carolina's ambition.
A statistical night for many of their players, including Stephen Davis, who could go over 2,000 career yards. He has 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. Tigers lead there. Next week, Tennessee plays numbers. I told you Stephen Davis, 3 touchdown runs. Patrick Nix is 9 of 9 passing. This 10-yarder to Hicks, 4. They've just scored again. It's now 34-3.
All right.
Progress UCLA BYU off of UCLA's first series. Chris Saylor tries a fake punt, then punts it. Ben Cook of BYU picks it up. It's a nice return out of it. This play, store it away. Recycle that play in the playbook. 36-yard field goal by Bill Hansen, answered by a Bjorn Merton field goal. Ryan Feen, the UCLA quarterback who missed part of last week with a concussion, has a concussion again, may not return. It's 3-3 in the second in Provo. Southern Cal's opener at the Coliseum against San Jose State. Brad Otten gets the start. Look at Keyshawn Johnson. He'll make either quarterback look good. 35-yard play. Trojans move on to a Sean Walters 1-yard plunge. They switch sides for the quarter. Waters has scored again. Both Otten and Wachholtz have good numbers at quarterback. Southern Cal leads by 21. At Nippert Stadium, Cincinnati leads Kansas State, approaching halftime 14-0. No relation to the great coach, but Darrell Royal has the big score for Cincinnati. Purdue team that is very good at running the ball and showed that last week on the road, winning at Morgantown against West Virginia. Wild game, fourth quarter, 28-20, Notre Dame. Ron Paulus is looking picked off. Good read by Derek Brown, who will go 54 yards. And in West Lafayette, the fans are fired up. It's a 2-point Notre Dame lead. Jim Coletto's going to go for 2. Rick Trefsker, the quarterback who was out, injured, came back in this game. Swing it out to Corey Rogers, who had a great TD run earlier. Tied at 28. First play after the Purdue kickoff. Hold your whistle. Randy Kinder. Watch him avoid a couple of tackles. This game was replete with poor tackling. This was a great run, too. 52 yards, Notre Dame 35, Purdue 28. Purdue comes back down. 2nd and 10. Tresker for Greg Allen in the end zone. They went on 4th down again, trying to pick up the first down, came up a yard and a half short. Notre Dame survives, beating Purdue by 7. The Irish take on Vandy next week. Alabama. In their last 22 games, they've trailed 16 of those games, including this one. Eric Booth takes the pitch. Look at him keep his balance. He had 2 touchdowns. This 30-yarder made it 17-3 Southern Miss. Here comes the rally. Down 17-10, Brian Bergdorf airs it out. Off the deflection in the end zone, Curtis Brown. Opportunistic, tied at 17 late in the game. Chris Pierce, 36-yard field goal. Southern Miss is up 3. Gene Stallings' team in need of a miraculous comeback. Last minute, 4th and 13, inside their own 20. Bergdorf to Todrick Malone. First down by about that much. Drive stays alive. 4th and 17 now from the 35. Take a shot at the end zone. Inside of 30 seconds, Malone, the game-winning score. Alabama won its last 4 meetings with Southern Miss, surviving here in terrific numbers for Bergdorf. Tide rolls by 4. Penn State backing on San Diego State. Eric Moore, the quarterback, hands off to Gerald Moore. They're not related except they're both Sooners. They're both good, and they're both winners on this Saturday night. a 52-yard score for Gerald Moore. He had 159 yards and 3 scores on the day. Eric Moore, 152 yards passing and an INT. Oklahoma wins by the score of 38-22. That's some of the stories and scores in the top 10. Let's get some reaction on that. Head to Knoxville. Jerry DiNardo up against Mississippi State. His team of 24-10, and Kevin Falk, one of the top recruits in the nation this year. A high school star in Louisiana last year, as a college star in Louisiana this year. 58-yard score. He had 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tigers defeat the Bulldogs for the 4th straight time, this time by 18, despite Eric Mold's.
Finished 8-4. This year, SI says USC is the team to beat, and the Trojans hope there's no jinx. Lots expected from the Trojans in L.A., especially since UCLA started so well, and especially since they're the only game in town. There's no NFL. So we go out to USC and to Los Angeles to see what's going on early in this game. And a great catch by potential Heisman candidate, Keshawn Johnson, with a great grab deep in San Jose State territory for John Robinson. A couple of plays later, Sean Walters diving in for the touchdown, and USC starting to pull away from John Ralston's Spartans early. USC fools everyone. Then the fake handoff, backup quarterback Brad Otten to Tyler Cashman for the touchdown, and USC is impressive on opening day. They were supposed to be. It's now 40
for Georgia. Injury is a factor for UCLA. No Ryan Fiend, no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They're starting quarterback and tailback, so they go to the trickery, and Derek Ayers scores on the reverse. UCLA leads at BYU by 20.
In the second quarter, deflected by Florida defender Fred Weary, and into the hands of Lawrence Wright for the interception. Still second quarter, 14-0 Florida. Several plays later, running back Terry Jackson takes it in from 4 yards out. One of 3 touchdowns on the night for him. 21-0 Gators. And there's the Florida mascot. Second quarter, still Florida romps. Quarterback Danny Werfel hits Chris During on the 14-yard pass. That made it 28-zip. Florida goes on to cruise over the Wildcats by the final of 42-7. Top mismatch of the day, 6th-ranked Auburn feasting on moccasins. Final scored Auburn. The time
at home. Robert Edwards scored 5 touchdowns last week. Set out the second half of the game for the most part with a foot sprain. Georgia had to go to the air. Mike Bobo to Juan Daniels. Dogs lead by 4. A shootout. Tennessee comes back. Peyton Manning loads up for Joey Kent. 27-24 Tennessee. Georgia tied it with a field goal. Then Tennessee freshman kicker Jeff Hall, a 34-yarder for the game winner. After Cannon Parkman was injured, they had to go to Dax Langley for Georgia, and the backup Bulldog place kicker missed a 50-plus yard field goal. The Vols drive down, get the game-winning field goal. They will face Florida next week. A wonderful game, though, between Tennessee and Georgia. Cavs up 7. Terry Harvey to Jimmy Grissett, and the Wolfpack take a 21-20 lead when they go for 2 and make it. 13 seconds left. State by 1. Tiki Barber into the end zone. George Welshett, I don't know the last time I got that high off the ground. Jumping with track, third quarter. UCLA up 16-3. Derek Ayers, the end around down the sidelines. Good blocking downfield as well. A 31-yard score. In this game, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar left with injury after 147 yards rushing. Ryan Fiend, the quarterback who left with a concussion last week, to the hospital for precautionary MRI.
17-14. Eric Vibert hits Robert Tate in the end zone. Bearcats up 21-17. You see the time remaining. 3 ticks. Kansas State on the 22. Matt Miller lets it fly. Kevin Lockett comes down with it. And Kansas State with the win, 23-21. East Carolina.
At halftime, the Rattlers get on the board. Jeff Stevens from 40 yards away. It's good. And the score is 28-3. Miami up at the break. Second half, Rattlers back to punt. It's deflected. And watch for number 22 in the dark jersey, Tony Gator. He's going to gather it in, go right side, and nobody's going to catch him. 46 yards, he goes for the touchdown. Give tax. The Hurricanes have no problem with Florida A&M. 49-3, your final score.
Cut 19 over Clemson last week, but did drop a couple of points in the polls. Still remaining number 1. The home opener for Bobby Bowden against NC State. 7-7. First quarter, Pooh Bear Williams, 6th touchdown of the year on 10 carries. 14-7 Florida State at that point. Following NC State's 3rd fumble of the first quarter, Danny Cannell finds Andre Cooper just shoos away the defender in the end zone.
21-7 at that point, with some emotion, coming off a big win over Oklahoma State last week. A&M driving, Corey Pullig hands off to Leland McElroy, who fumbles. Chris Fowler recovers. We're not kidding you. A&M's next possession on their own 43. Pullig to McElroy in the flat, let him atone for the error. Look at that. All the Golden Hurricanes converging like an eye of a hurricane. And there goes McElroy all the way for the score. He's over 100 yards and tied at 10 moments ago. Brian Bergdorf led the rally last week. Curtis Brown, 41-yard touchdown. And Alabama takes the lead in Tuscaloosa by the score of Temple. Joe Pisgang getting it done early against the Owls. First quarter, Mike Archie takes the handoff. Gets through the defense. 22 yards for Archie, 7-0 Penn State. First quarter of dominance. It's Wally Richardson. Much better game than last week against Texas Tech. John Whitman is wide open for an 11-yard score against Ron Dickerson's team. Whitman's also run one in. Coming off that Notre Dame win in the top 25 for the first time since '71. Steve Schnurr and Dwayne Bates hooked up against Notre Dame. They hook up against Miami of Ohio. Add another score to that, and now in the second quarter, game being seen on ESPN2, Northwestern State demolished by Nebraska last week. Now they have to bounce back going on the road to play a Louisville team that's off to a good start for the youngest coach in Division 1A, Ron Cooper. 3-0 Michigan State. First play of the second quarter, Marty Lowe to Gerald Tyson, the 290-pound tight end. Louisville leads 7-3. Later in the second quarter, State answers. Scott Green. It's Dwayne Goldborn, but Green gets it done here. 10-7 Spartans at that point. They go to the half, and it is a 13-7. Sorry, it's a 10-7 halftime score between Michigan State and Louisville, and that one as they approach halftime. Green's touchdown run there. Kentucky and Indiana playing for the Bourbon Barrel. 3-0 Indiana. Alex Smith out with the pulled right hamstring. Back in the lineup. First touchdown of the year. 19-yard score. 10-0 Hoosiers. It was 10-0, but a roughing the kicker penalty kept a Kentucky drive alive and allowed Mo Williams to get in from a yard out. Right now, Indiana leads by 3 in the third quarter. They're playing for the Bourbon State in the TD zone in Ames. TD, Troy Davis. Watch this run. 63 yards for Davis, who had 291 to start the season. With that run, he has more yards than the leading rusher for Iowa State in any year during the 90s. Right now, the Cyclones, Indiana, 17-10, snapping the longest 1A losing streak at 12.
Blasted by their coach, Nick Saban, in the early going. It is 30-7. They have gone into Louisville. So that's a quality win for the Big Ten after some disappointing results this afternoon. Tony Banks, impressive. This is one of those disappointing games.
At the half. Elsewhere, well, Florida State's Bobby Bowden took some heat for running up the score against Duke. Didn't run up the score last week, lost some ground in the polls, so he was back at it today against NC State. A blowout. Danny Cannell looking long early. He hooks up with Andre Cooper for his second touchdown catch in the first quarter. 21-7 Seminoles. Warwick Dunn played an entire game in the second quarter alone. He had 2 touchdowns receiving, and this rushing touchdown, a 40-yard run up the middle. 35-7 Florida State. In the third, backup quarterback Thad Busby in, and they keep throwing. He finds E.J. Green over the middle. Green goes 63 yards for the touchdown, and the final a blowout, 77-17. However, Mike O'Kane not taking exception. He did hug Bobby Bowden after the victory. And Lincoln, Nebraska, a tough week for the Cornhuskers, and they are taking it out on the Sun Devils of Arizona State. 63-21 right now. Lawrence Phillips' replacement, Clinton Childs, has 2 touchdown runs in this one, and Tommy Frazier, playing with that bruised thigh, has 2 TD passes and 2 TD runs, a school record for points in the first half for Nebraska. At College Station, Texas A&M has a big showdown coming up next week against Colorado, and they're tuning up against Tulsa. Leland McElroy just enhancing his Heisman candidacy today. Corey Pullig hooking up with McElroy, puts on the moves en route to the first of his 4 touchdowns on the afternoon. This a 57-yarder. Pullig then finding McElroy again in the second on a short pass, and he turns this one into a 19-yard score. And Texas A&M winning big in this one over Tulsa, 52-9 late in the game. At the Swamp, key SEC early getting by Texas Tech last week. They needed a decisive win this afternoon, and they got one against Temple. scoring early and often. Senior tailback Mike Archie busting through Temple's defense for a 22-yard touchdown. That gets them on the board 7-0. It was 17-0 in the second when Wally Richardson, with tons of time, hooks up with Bobby Ingram. Richardson had 3 touchdown passes. The final in this one, 66-14, as Curtis Enos also scored 3 touchdowns for Penn State. Ennis with those 3 scores all in the second half. In Boulder, Colorado, tuning up for that showdown with Texas A&M. Should be quite a game as its first 2 wins of the season, and had a tough time against Arkansas this afternoon in Tuscaloosa. Brian Bergdorf connecting early with Curtis Brown for a 41-yard touchdown. Bama did have the lead going in to the locker room at halftime, 17-10, but then Arkansas coming back late in the game. Barry Lunny Jr. spinning out of trouble, hits Anthony Lucas for a 31-yard gain. Now he's out at the 24, and 7 plays later, 4th and goal, time running out. Lunny scrambling. He hits J.J. Metters for a controversial 4-yard touchdown. The controversy because it looked like the ball may have bounced and that Metters may have trapped the ball, but it's the winning touchdown. So a huge win for Danny Ford. He beats his alma mater, and a big win that could be a turning point for the Hogs program. Also in Norman this afternoon, Oklahoma hosting SMU. Nobody's managed to score a touchdown on that one. It's Illinois offensive coordinator Paul Schudel's daughter passed away last night at the age of 24. Also the Wildcats playing in their first game since learning of the death of their teammates. And a nice tribute to Damon Terrell before the game as they form the initials of his name. His funeral held today in Los Angeles. Their head coach Dick Tomey attending. A Big Ten record in the game for Simeon Rice. The Fighting Illini nails Arizona quarterback Dan White, his 37th career sack. That's a record. Arizona ball late in the game, up by 4. White to Kevin Schmidtke, but he's hit hard by Tyrone Washington, and David James, heads-up play, picks up the fumble, goes 53 yards for the go-ahead touchdown. So the Fighting Illini come away with their first victory of the season on an emotional afternoon, beating the Wildcats of Arizona by 2.
Familiar with, like Alabama, trying to hold off a team and come from behind to get a victory. Arkansas coach Danny Ford taking on his alma mater. Arkansas down 19-13, 10 seconds left. Barry Lunny to J.J. Metters, touchdown or trap. They ruled touchdown. We've seen it several times. Very hard to figure it out. The extra point was good, and the Razorbacks win by the score of 20-19. First time Arkansas has beaten Alabama. Northwestern in the top 25 for the first time in a quarter century. Gary Barnett's team led 28-7, but up 1 in the 4th quarter, and a bad snap is recovered by Miami of Ohio at the 1-yard line. Got down to 4th down. They couldn't punch it in. Chad Sykes, game-winning field goal, and he gets it through from the tough angle in Evanston. The first victory for Miami of Ohio against a ranked opponent since they beat LSU back in 1986. Oregon at UCLA, great game in the Rose Bowl, tied at 31. 3 minutes left. Tony Graziani, the Oregon quarterback, looking for Christian McLemore as he rolled to the left. McLemore behind the secondary, down to the 3 on 3rd and goal. Crisscross receivers. McLemore gets a foot in bounds. Ducks lead, 38-31. Over a minute left. UCLA backed up to their own 10. One big play gets them to midfield. Then the freshman quarterback, Cade McNown, finds Kevin Jordan, getting it down to the 3. UCLA fails on 3 tries from the 3. They run on 4th down, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is stuffed by the gangrene defense in Oregon. Beats UCLA 38-31. They've won 5 of the last 6 at UCLA. Colorado State beat Air Force 27-20, handing the Air Force Falcons their first loss of the season. E.J. Watson, a couple of touchdown runs in this one. Big East against the SWC. Pitt in Texas, and it was hot in Austin. 3rd quarter, Pitt down by 4. Demetrius Harris, true freshman, up the middle, gets away from the defense. Pitt, Johnny Majors takes the lead by 3. Back come the Horns. Ricky Williams, a 1-yard run. Texas leads by 4. Pitt trying to come back. John Ryan picked off by Jason Reeves. He's got a convoy to the end zone, 45 yards to make the final margin 11. John Mackovic has never lost at Texas when they come off a bye week, and James Brown, the quarterback, is now 6-0 as Texas starter. There were some big blowouts today in the top 25. We showed you Florida State, part of their performance in the 60-point win over NC State. They didn't show it in their first game at home as the national champs. Tommy Frazier, 27 yards to John Vedrule for the score. Nebraska up 28-0, and they went on and on and on. 508 yards in the first half alone. 686 total yards in the Huskers' domination of Arizona State. Tennessee and Florida. Florida came out hitting. Peyton Manning throws to Joey Kent. But look out for Luther Wright. Oh, goodness. Gators get the ball there. There were some turnovers in this game as well as some points. Ensuing possession, Danny Werfel nailed, fumbles it. Raymond Austin is there to pick it up and take it back. Tennessee led this game 30-14 at this point, 30-21 at the half. And then, Vol fans, close your eyes. It got ugly. Werfel to Ike Hilliard. Hilliard's third TD catch of the game. Florida now down 2. Still third quarter. After a Vol turnover, Werfel and Hilliard one more time. 4 TD catches, ties a school record, and they went on and on. 62-37. Remember, Tennessee had a 16-point lead in this game. Later stages of the second quarter. What was the difference? Well, the second half. Look at the dominance in the second half, especially point-wise, Craig.
Yeah, Mike, I also thought the missed field goal, the 2 fumbles by Jay Graham, they beat Tennessee. Peyton Manning, I thought he played okay.
Texas A&M, third-ranked team in the country, hosted Tulsa and really did as in South Bend, the Fighting Irish take on Vanderbilt. After a touchdown run, the Irish up 17-0. The following kickoff fielded by Corey Chavis at the 9. He heads upfield, but the ball is knocked loose. And recovered by the Irish, Jarvis Edison. Scoop and score. 14 points in 12 seconds for the Irish. And they gave Bob Davie, who was the defensive coordinator but acting as the head coach in Holtz's absence, a ride off the field in South Bend. Notre Dame close to 500 yards of total offense. Paulus, who has such good stats at home, 13 for 18 for 200 yards in the Notre Dame victory. This part of the theme, some big margins of victory today in some Washington. Buckeyes up 9-7 in the second, lined up for a field goal. Eddie George takes the handoff from the holder. Well-designed play, gets the first down, led to a touchdown, put the Buckeyes up 16-7. And up 23-7 against Coach Lambright's team. It's Eddie George again. Another big day for Eddie George. He had a couple of touchdowns, over 200 yards rushing. BC fans know about him, don't they? 30-20, the Buckeyes win, but this game was a bigger difference on the field than that score margin indicates. 10 over the Pac-10. One in California, hosting Houston. Brad Otten up top to Keyshawn Johnson, a Heisman candidate. 57 yards for the score. UCLA up 14-3 after 1. Change quarterbacks? Don't change the man on the other end. Kyle Wachholz to Johnson. 10 straight games. He's over 100 yards receiving. Southern Cal has a 21-3 lead on Houston. The quarterbacks, as you've seen, have thrown a touchdown pass in this one. Opener each of the last 4 years. Today, taking on an Oregon team that was really the surprise of the Pac-10, but not a lot expected of them this year because of all the losses. Here they come. 31-31, fourth quarter. Inside of a minute, and Kristen McLemore catches the touchdown pass from Tony Graziani. It's 38-31. But UCLA, 2 big plays get him down the field. 4 tries of inside the 4, and Gangrene stuffs Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trying to run it in as time runs down. And Oregon moves to 3-0, winning at UCLA. Mike Bellotti, the first coach to start his career 3-0 at Oregon since C.W. Spears in 1930. Oregon's won 5 of their last 6 at UCLA. In the WAC today, Colorado State and Air Force, with the Force remain unbeaten in conference. E.J. Watson extends the Colorado State lead to 13. Air Force down 7, 40 seconds left. Bo Morgan to Jake Campbell is deflected and picked off by Greg Myers, the All-American Colorado State. The win by the score of 27-20, so the Falcons do not get to 3-0 in conference. E.J. Watson had a couple of touchdown runs in this one. Tonight in Baton Rouge, Auburn and LSU. First quarter no score, Jamie Howard to Nicky Savoy, the tight end, 4-yard touchdown, 7-0. IU Bengals. In the second quarter, Patrick Nix heard a whistle from the crowd and he stopped, but it wasn't from a man in stripes, and James Gilliard kept going. Safety, 12-3 LSU. Back comes Auburn. Fourth quarter, 48 seconds left. 4th and 6. The LSU lead is 6. Nix, who earlier picked up a 4th down, gets another one to Tyrone Goodson. Now the final play of the game. Nix has to go to the end zone, and Troy Twilley comes up with the big play. Celebration in Baton Rouge, and we can guarantee that that celebration is still going on. The first September loss in 14 games for Auburn as they lose to LSU by 6. State of Alabama turnovers. Jake Graham, 2 key fumbles in the second half. Florida made him pay both times. After one of the Graham turnovers, Werfel to Ike Hilliard. He had 4 touchdown catches on the day. Believe it or not, at one point in this game, the score was Tennessee 30, Florida 14. Didn't end up that way. Conference openers. So how are they going to turn around against Utah tonight? Utah quarterback Mike Fauci's Dan Fouts' nephew. He scrambles right, gets it to Rocky Henry. Rifling through the secondary. No Lobo going to stop him. A 57-yard score. That made it 27-3. Fouts has thrown 4 touchdowns. Utah is beating Oregon State in Denton, Texas. And there are some other coaches who are feeling pretty good this Saturday
Pack
night.
in the whack, third quarter, 14-7 Rams. Jake Campbell powers his way in. We're tied at 14. Fourth quarter, Rams up 21-14 when E.J. Watson finds some daylight, and he goes 18 yards for the score. Rams blow the PAT, though, and led 27-14. Air Force comes back. Quarterback Bo Morgan fakes the handoff, takes it in from 10 yards out. Air Force missed the PAT. It's 27-20 Rams. Late fourth quarter, Falcons threatening, but Morgan's pass tipped into the air and picked off by Greg Myers, and the Rams pull off the upset. 27-20 was the final. Well, you wouldn't call those game faces, would you? No, you wouldn't. Well, this guy here picks off the pass for BYU, and he's going to take it.
The state of Virginia, 20-0. But more importantly, Miami's been so dominant in the Big East. They've only lost 1 game. That's to West Virginia a couple of years ago when the Mountaineers had a great season. Virginia Tech 0-2 coming in. They needed a big game. The play-action pass is early a factor. Jim Drunken Miller on top to Brian Still. 47-yard reception. A 1-yard run put Butch Davis's team down 7-0. Late first half, a 4th-and-1 bootleg is a great play for a moment because it's a Ryan Collins first down, but the quarterback falls on his shoulder. He did not come back. Ryan Clements left to run the team. Hands off to Danielle Ferguson. This touchdown made it a 10-7 Virginia Tech lead at the half. Still 10-7 in the fourth, and Mike Chrissy is blocked by Michael Stewart. It leads to a field goal, 13-7 Hokies. Clement trying to come from behind, scrambling on the way down, gets it away to Derek Harris, who dropped a sure touchdown. Davis and the Canes would have one last drive under 2 minutes left because Virginia Tech had poor field goal kicking. Yatil Green for 14. Then Green again, 16 more of the drives alive. Miami had it at the Tech 24 with Collins watching on the sidelines with Davis. A big sack by J.C. Price, the Virginia Tech defensive lineman, after an incompletion. 4th and 20, one shot. Use Yatil Green, 6'3" height, some contact but no flag thrown. And the celebration on in Blacksburg as Frank Beamer's team avoids an 0-3 start, but more importantly, Miami falls to 1-2 for the first time since Lou Saban's last year as the coach of the Canes 10 years ago, or 1978. Tech dominates the line of scrimmage. Now, 2 of the best teams in the Big East are a poor 1-2 overall. Taken out of the ACC, Virginia taking on Clemson. They've never won at Death Valley. Scoreless in the first. Mike Groh, Patrick Jeffers makes the nice catch down to the 1. Groh ran it in. 6-0 Cavs. They missed an extra point. Still 6-0 in the first. It's Tiki Barber, their good back. Waits for his blocks. Clemson over pursues. Barber in the end zone. Another extra point missed, so it's 12-0. The Cavs D, which is so good against the run, wouldn't let Clemson convert. 4th and goal. Raymond Priester stopped. They tried 4 times from the 5. James Ferrier and the defense getting it done. Clemson had come from behind to bury the Cavs before. Remember a couple of years ago in Charlottesville? Third quarter, they try to rally. Priester belted high by Greg Terry, then spins to the ground. Still in the third, 12-3 Cavs grow. To Patrick Jeffers. They didn't have him in the Pigskin Classic. They've had him every game since, and they've added the passing element to the running game. And for the first time in school history, Virginia beats Clemson, improving to 4-1 and 3-0 in the ACC. When you think about it, folks, just a miracle by Michigan is keeping Virginia from being even higher in the top 10 and unbeaten. Oklahoma, the Sooners, taking on North Texas. Garrett McGee, the quarterback, his team down 2-0. He scrambles 19 yards for the touchdown. Oklahoma led 6-2. Then McGee to P.J. Mills for the 2-point connection. Been alternating quarterbacks thus far at Oklahoma, and right now the Sooners lead North Texas, a team that was a 1AA team 2 years ago. This is their first full year in 1A. Right now, Oklahoma leads by the score of 8-2. Fighting Irish of Notre Dame involved in a high-scoring affair. Frenchmen try to bounce back after their loss to East Carolina. Minnesota came out of the gate with a win over a MAC team. 2 Dome teams playing up under the Teflon tent in Syracuse. It was 10-6 Minnesota. Questionable calls were those clips. Well, the picket fence was set up for Marvin Harrison. to go 94 yards on a punt return for touchdown, first for Syracuse in 4 years. They lead 13-10. After a first drive, third quarter interception, Malcolm Thomas, 14-yard score. The Orange lead 20-10. The next possession, they got the ball in the hands of their best player. Harrison again on a 30-yard pass from Donovan McNabb. A huge day for Harrison. Nearly 250 yards of all-purpose offense. Actually over that, including the punt return, as a matter of fact. Negating Chris Darkin's 200 yards on the ground. Syracuse beats Minnesota, improving to 2-1. The Orange with conference play against Rutgers next week. In the SEC, Kentucky. Did they win back-to-back games at South Carolina? 21-14, Kentucky, and Stanley Pritchard out of the backfield from Steve Tannehill. Tannehill had a 93-yard pass last week. This is a 92-yard pass, but they missed the point. South Carolina down 1, and they just got the ball in the hands of Mo Williams all day, and he was immense. A 76-yard run before he's caught on this one. And it went down his rushing stats because it was a lateral. Same possession, option to Williams for 10 yards. He had a school record 4 scores on the day and nearly had 300 yards rushing. He finished officially with 299, 1 yard shy of being the 46th player in Division 1A to have a 300-yard rushing game. Kentucky's won back-to-back road games for the first time in 11 seasons. Hey, South Carolina's rushing defense. Nobody's given up more touchdowns in Division 1A. Robert Edwards, who's now out with Georgia, Madre Hill of Arkansas, and today Mo Williams. They're good running backs in the SEC. Boy, the South Carolina rushing defense does make them better. Pretty interesting matchup. Southwest Conference against the ACC. North Carolina State at home in Raleigh against Baylor at Carter Finley, scoreless. And Anthony Hodge for the Bears of Baylor. 15-yard run caps off a 42-yard drive, 7-0. Baylor keeping on the ground in the second. Gerard Douglas, 82 first-half rushing yards. 3 plays later against Mike O'Kane's team, Sean Washington punching it in from a yard out. 14-0 for Baylor, and they played outstanding defense. Terry Harvey, the NC State quarterback, struggling all afternoon, intercepted here by Tyrone Smith. Baylor goes to NC State and beats the Wolfpack 14-0. NC State now has not beaten a Division 1A team. They've lost 3 consecutive games. Disappointing season for a couple of ACC teams. On the deuce. How about them Cowboys? Oklahoma State's Cowboys, Wyoming's Cowboys, and Marcus Harris, nation's leading returning receiver from last year. 26-yard touchdown catches, second of the game. Harris wasn't finished. The quarterback, Josh Walwork, has more work to do. Pitch it back to Len Sexton. Halfback option to Harris, who's having a great first half, and now third quarter, 4 of Wyoming's 5 touchdowns. The Cowboys lead Oklahoma State by 35. A game many of you just saw here on ESPN. Air Force Northwestern. Northwestern up 3. Bo Morgan, the option to Jake Campbell. He's hitting, he fumbles. And that Northwestern defense was a factor. William Bennett, the recovery there. Wildcats take advantage. Darnell Autry, 4th consecutive game over 100 yards. 1 yard score there, 10-0 Wildcats. Air Force was down 10, as you see, in the third. Bo Morgan picked off by Pat Fitzgerald. The Bone had problems today. Northwestern defending it well, and on offense, it's the Autrys, Adrian and Darnell. Darnell 2 touchdowns on the day, Adrian 1. And Northwestern improves to 2-1 with the victory. Falcons had come in really shutting people down on defense. They'd only allowed 10 first-half points in their first 4 games of the season. But today, Northwestern 16 in the first half, 14 in the second half. Elsewhere, including Columbia against St. Mary's of California. Bonner Cunnings, 4-yard touchdown run for St. Mary's. They travel 3,000 miles, and Bonner says, I've got more real estate to take care of. A second touchdown here, it's 14-7. He said, I want more on this new artificial turf. A third touchdown, a 4-yarder. He scored again. But we'll just look at his good-looking face, huh? St. Mary's of California. Beats.
Of course, the assault charges against him were also dropped this past week. 43 yards on this touchdown run, 21-0. He had a big day with 3 touchdowns.
Those 2 games.
Tony Banks, the quarterback for the Spartans, 43 yards to Derek Mason, although he does most of the work, outrunning all the Boilermakers. Picked up a good block there, 7-0 at that point. Purdue has picked up the lead. Mike Allstott, a 69-yard touchdown pass to Brian Alford. Allstott is the fullback. 21-20 is the score there.
And everything we talked about before the game all seemed to change with just 1 snap in this game. The highlight from Boulder of this game, Coy Detmer in the first quarter, no score, he drops back to pass. Keith Mitchell, the blitz, the Texas A&M defensive speed, knocks the ball from Detmer. David Maxwell recovers for an Aggie touchdown. They're up 7-0. Detmer at it again. Back to pass again. This time, as he tries to escape the rush, he twists his knee. There is some damage to a ligament in the knee, but we don't specifically know what it is yet. In any case, Detmer has not come back in this game. His replacement, John Hessler, with the Buffs up 10-7 in the second quarter. Play action. He goes up top. They didn't change the game plan too much. Ray Carruth is out there down to the 3-yard line, 59 yards on the pass and catch. 2 plays later, Hessler on the keeper. Oh, heart in your mouth. Down to the backup quarterback. He pushes his way in. His second running touchdown. Neuheisel's team up 10. Back comes A&M. Albert Connell on the post. 38 yards and A&M leads 21-20. Detmer watching from the sidelines. In the fourth quarter, 1-point Aggie lead. It's Hessler back, rolling, pointing, and finding Tennyson McCarty, the backup tight end. Colorado went for 2 and failed. It was 26-21, but they've since added a field goal, and more importantly, have held Leland McElroy in check. The Aggies have the ball. They're down 8. They had to burn a couple of timeouts when Colorado tried that 2-pointer. We'll keep you updated, get you out to Boulder in the half hour. Other big games today. Another team from the state of Texas. Texas taking on Notre Dame. Lou Holtz, pregame, talking to some of his players on the sideline. He watched from the press box. First time he's watched from the press box since the '69 Rose Bowl, and he saw Emmett Mosley break free, cutting to the outside for the 64-yard punt return. 10-0 Irish, up 19-13. 4th and goal, James Brown to Steve Bradley, and the Longhorns have the lead. But here comes Notre Dame. Randy Kinder, 3-yard run, makes it 27-20, and the Irish pour it on from there. They scored on a punt return. They scored on an interception. Paulus had solid numbers. Notre Dame wins the game. Lou Holtz after the game. Coach, when can we expect your return to the sideline?
And I was involved in the game. I found out there wasn't anything wrong with my mind. But I went down on the sideline at the end of the game just to see. And I can tell you this, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be on the sideline. I went down the last minute, and the coaches don't need me, and the team doesn't need me. Right now, my plans would be to be in the press box at Ohio State right now.
Like I said earlier,
the Ohio State game is next week. I mentioned Notre Dame, UCLA, at Washington State, and Jay Dumas. Look at my back. 72 yards. He faked out the kicker on the way to the end zone, and the Cougars led 7-0. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the running back, did struggle. Ensuing series after that punt return, the fumble that Derek Henderson recovers led to a Chad Davis touchdown pass, 14-0 Cougars. Another Jabbar miscue. Heading for the end zone, apparently. Tries to turn the corner and fumbles on the half-yard line. They say touchback as it went through the end zone. It was 24-0 Washington State. UCLA made a furious comeback, but not enough. Washington State beats UCLA 24-50, and the Bruins are 2-2. Abdul-Jabbar, despite the miscues you saw, did run for over 100 yards. Ryan Feen replaced in this game by Chad McNown. Army had a fourth quarter lead. Washington scored the final 2 touchdowns, nearly losing their 3rd home game in the last 36, but Washington pulls it out by 8. Big East against the Big Ten. Ohio State against Pitt. You heard Lou Holtz say next week the Buckeyes play the Irish. Boy, the Buckeyes look good. Bobby Hoying and Terry Glenn. What a combination. 2 Panthers run into each other, and Glenn runs into the end zone. 75 yards. Ohio State ahead 14-7. Eventually, with this touchdown pass, Hoying hits Glenn again. You saw it was 7-7. That made it 14-7. Ohio State rolls. Glenn, a school record 253 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. The Nebraska Cornhuskers taking on Pacific. Tony Beelan says our number 1. Well, against Pacific, it was no problem. Damon Benning, 17 yards in for the score. 14-0 Huskers. Still in the first quarter. Ran left, ran right, didn't matter. Frazier, the option pitch. Benning again. 43 yards this time through the Pacific defense. Nebraska had 14 different players running the ball in this game. Benning did leave the game in the third quarter with a sprained ankle after a career-high 173 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nebraska holds on to win 49-7. Good day all around for the Big 8. It's now a final in Boulder. We welcome those of you who saw Colorado beat Texas A&M 29-21. We're going to send you out to Boulder to Chris Lee and Craig momentarily. There's much more ahead on the Residents in College. Tennessee home today for Mississippi State and all over the Bulldogs. Peyton Manning to Greg Kyler. 40 yards, sets up a volunteer touchdown. Tennessee up 14-0. They extended to 21-0. And then some special teams. Sean Burton coming in to block the punt. Be a little double bonus. Block it, scoop it, score it. 28-0 Volunteers. In the third quarter, 31-0 Tennessee. Jay Graham, the stiff arm, the speed, the good footwork to stay in bounds. 26-yard score, his second of the game. Tennessee no problem with Mississippi State avenging a 24-21 Bulldog win last year. Virginia traveling. The quarterback flips it back to Mike Allstott, but it wasn't a forward pass, so Allstott can throw to Brian Alford. He's got it. 69 yards, game tied at 14. Late fourth quarter, 35-28 Michigan State. Corey Rogers to the right side, gets the corner, gets the score. Game tied at 35. Would this game be a tie? Brad Bobbitt for the win for the Boilermakers. Yee! From 47 yards, about a couple of feet to the left. Purdue and Michigan State end up in a 35-all, very entertaining tie. Each team sticks across the board 1-1-1. Earlier today on ESPN.
Criticized all week by college football fans and the national sports media and other coaches. Why did FSU bring in Central Florida? Well, they couldn't find anyone brave enough to make the trip after Auburn canceled a few years ago when Pat Dye was the head coach at Auburn. So, Central Florida, and there's their mascot, the Golden Knight. Second quarter, 14-7 Seminoles. Former highly recruited FSU player Marquette Smith bursts up the middle and goes 68 yards for the touchdown. They would not score because of turnover a couple of plays later. All right, he didn't score. Second quarter, 16-7 FSU. Florida State's Pooh Bear Williams takes the screen pass from Danny Canal and takes it in for 16 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. Florida State puts the icing on the cake as E.G. Green takes the end around from Warwick Dunn. And a 42-yard touchdown. Pooh Bear Williams, 3 touchdowns.